right, so just arrived in Orange County, and today we're going to spend some time signing the books for tomorrow's event, and then also we're going to head up to my aunt and uncle's house and take a tour. We'll have some great video content for you then. And then tonight, we're going to go check out the Angels playing the Texas Rangers. Full schedule today. We are going into JJ Maz's office right now to sign about 100 copies of my book that we're going to give away tomorrow at the event that he's hosting. So, plus we get to hang out with JJ for a little bit. Looking forward to seeing him. I haven't seen him in, gosh, I think it's been about a year since the last time I saw JJ. Hello. I'm Chris Welton.
Hi, Taylor.
Hi, nice to meet you, Taylor.
Hi.
This is Logan.
Welcome in. All right, so I have all of your books in this office.
Okay, perfect.
And I left you a Sharpie. So
I brought one with me just in case.
Perfect.
So yeah, that's great.
Sorry for all of our
Don't worry about it.
stuff in here. Oh, it's over here. Yeah, so all your books are here.
Okay, perfect.
So feel free to start ripping them open and sign them.
Yeah. All right, we're down to the last 4, and the reason we did it this way, because the last time we had a book signed, we'd signed books for an event, we waited and signed them as people lined up, and it was not very efficient, to say the least, to try to get me to sign 100 books and personalize them. So what we did this time is sign the signature, put a note in there, and then now all we have to do is write their names and to personalize them when we want to personalize them to the individual coming to pick up the books. So if you haven't released a book yet or you're getting ready to, this is a hack on how to streamline the signing process at an event you're going to speak at or somewhere you're going to present. It'll just especially make the interaction better if people line up to meet you and want to have conversations with you after you speak or even before. If you're busy trying to sign 100 books, it's just going to be really tough to have meaningful conversations.
But I'll be on the computer too, so if something goes haywire or it's not clicking,
it will.
You can just look at me and I'll just press it.
Yeah, it will. They're always something. It's funny. I was telling somebody the other day, I was all prepped for this big speaking gig when we were in, I think we're in Chandler, Arizona.
Yeah, somewhere.
Yeah, we're in Chandler, Arizona. So I was following Rick Ruby. Rick Ruby actually spoke before me. And when I got on stage, none of my stuff worked. Slides didn't work, video didn't work. I was like, let's just go to work. Let's see what we do. And I just ran, and like 5 minutes before I was done, they go, hey, your slides are available now. I'm like, I think we're good. I don't have anything memorized. Like, it's not like when I first started speaking years ago, I would try to memorize everything I was going to say.
Yeah.
And then what I realized was if I just have slides as kind of markers for time for me and what I want to cover as bullet points and I speak from the heart on how the room feels, because like you can take a temperature from the room, right? Like, so I can change my messaging based on what the room feels like. Yeah. And then I started like, when I was done, I was like, oh man, I felt good about that. Right. Instead of, oh no, I missed 3 sentences in paragraph 4. All right, you ready? Let's go around. So today we're here at my aunt and uncle's house, which was my grandparents' house. And the house has been in our family for, I think, over 58 years. Amazing place in Fountain Valley, California. I spent some time here when I was a kid, but just the memories when I walk in the door here, I have nothing but great memories here. And I'm so glad they were able to keep the house in the family. It's a little different than it was when I was a kid. It's a little more modern. Some things have been updated. Like the courtyard we're in right now, when I was a kid, there was a fountain here in the middle where the table is and an olive tree. But the fun part is up here on the balcony, when I was a kid, I would stay in the room that's right there. And then I would sneak out on the balcony and hang out, but they call that the balcony room. But the reason I had the house in Florida with double doors on it, one of the reasons we bought the house is because it reminded me of my grandparents' house. So it's got the double doors here. And when we were looking at houses in Florida years ago, we saw the house with double doors and I said, this is the house. So just reminded me of my grandparents' place. But this courtyard's amazing. So when I was a kid, we would come here in the summer times. And this was my grandparents' house then. And there was a slide and a diving board. And I can remember just going up and down that slide this countless amount of times. And just having a blast in this pool with my dad and my sister. And it's crazy. You come back to it now. And I mean, I'm 52, almost 53 years old. So 45 years ago, 46 years ago, I was here swimming in the summertime. Right? Now it's all been redone. It's still the same kind of structure of the pool itself. We were talking about it earlier today with my aunt that the deep end, you can still dive into it. But just standing in the backyard, there's so many memories, right? And last night when I stayed here, it was the best sleep. I hadn't slept like that in over a year. And I think it's because you go back as a child and you remember how this is one of the places I felt safe, right? Like you knew there wasn't anything here that was going to bother you. So last night when I lay down in bed, I felt safe. There was no worries in my head and I slept like a champ. About 8.5 hours. And those of you that track your sleep with Aura rings, I got an 86 score last night, which was the highest score I've had in over a year. But you can see my Uncle Ken's got a beautiful garden going over here, avocado tree in the back. And this is where we'd gather when my grandmother was still alive. We spent a lot of time out here up until, I think it was October of 23 was the last time I was here, or 22 was the last time I was here with her. Put up the tents and have a nice lunch. And it's like 75 degrees in the end of July, you know. The weather is amazing here, but tons of memories.
So I'm speaking tomorrow, but Logan and I love baseball. And anytime we have an opportunity, we find a game. And tonight we found a game between the Angels and the Rangers. And I can't wait to show you where we're sitting.
We are going to grab some breakfast at Charlie's Chili, which is at the Newport Beach Pier. If you follow me before, you know it's a spot I like to go every time I'm here. It's a place. It's a place my dad used to take me for breakfast. So we're going to go there and grab a big breakfast burrito and hang out a little bit and then start our day. All right, so this is Charlie's Chili behind me. It's a place that my dad brought me when I was younger. And I was telling Logan earlier as we had breakfast that it's the first time I ever had a breakfast burrito was here, like March of 1991. The location is still here. Obviously, it's still thriving. It's booming outside, and inside was just as busy. But if you come to the Newport Beach area, you got to make sure you come in here and grab the Surfer's Burrito for breakfast. It is the best breakfast burrito on the planet. So after we were done here, we'd go down to the beach, and this is one of the first places I ever tried surfing was right here in Newport Beach. I had a cousin that was close to here. He'd come up from Huntington, and we spent a lot of time in the water right down here. A lot of falling face first off some big waves for sure. This place just brings back a lot of memories. It's one of those places that I like to make sure I visit every time I come to Orange County. And I can feel the presence of my dad when I'm here walking on the beach or I'm here having breakfast. All right, so I'm getting ready to go on stage at the Impact event here in Irvine, California for my friend JJ Mazza, and I cannot wait to bring this keynote. It's something we worked on. It's the first time we've ever brought it out. 3 new models we're gonna teach from stage. It's gonna be a lot of great content.
So
Thanks.
Everybody, Chris Welton.
Thank you. I was born the son of a drug addict. I was born with a limb difference. I'm a survivor of infant loss. None of those things defined who I was, but who I became today. See, I made a decision about 4 years ago to revisit everything that happened to me and try to figure out why was it put on my plate. See, this New Year's Eve 2019, I came home from work. I was in the mortgage space. I just had some realtor appointments on New Year's Eve, believe it or not, but that's the kind of guy I am. We call that separation season, right? Like nobody else is calling you, so I'm gonna call you and we're gonna grab some coffee. My wife was waiting for me on the couch with a voicemail. We had been trying to have a baby. I was blessed to have 2 children from a previous marriage, but my wife wanted to be a mother. The voicemail was from the IVF clinic. And they said, congratulations, you're pregnant. So all the things started happening. We're so excited, right? Like we'd put in all this effort, and not even going to talk about the money, but everything else that transpired to get there, right? To get to that point. And then now it's 2020 and we're starting to work through the ultrasounds and everything to make sure everything's good. And then all of a sudden they start looking at things that are not where there should be. Things aren't happening along the pace they want them to happen. So they start doing additional tests, and we're going from one doctor to another, and every test, it was okay. Things were okay. They said, oh, it could be this, this, and this, but then all of a sudden it wasn't. And then 26 weeks comes. We go for an ultrasound, and the ultrasound tech would not look at us. My wife practices medicine, so she's way better at this than I am when it comes to dealing with those things. The doctor comes in, he says, I need you guys to go home and get your stuff, and I need to admit you to the hospital. Your son, CJ, has some fluid on him. We need to start treating him today so that we can deliver him early and take care of him. So we went home like we should and gathered things up and went. And oh, by the way, this was June 2020, right in the middle of COVID. I fortunately lived in a state where I could be there with her, because some states I couldn't, right? We checked into the hospital, and every day they would do these tests. There was a point system, and every day we'd sit there and wait patiently, and oh my gosh, he did well. Things went well. And then July 1st came, and they said, tomorrow we will be delivering CJ tomorrow morning. About 30 weeks. We're going to take him tomorrow. They prepared us for the NICU, 6 weeks in the NICU, and so I prepared all of my business partners. I'd be working remotely for 6 weeks from a NICU. He was born July 2nd. We're in the room. I'm in there. My wife's having a C-section, and CJ comes out, and he doesn't cry. They grab him, and they start working on him, and they take him away. And they said, Mr. Welton, come with us. We're going to sit you in this room while we finish up on your wife, and you're going to need to sit here for 2 hours and wait till you get to see your son. So for 2 hours, I sat in a room thinking, would I ever see my son? My wife's blood pressure and my wife's heart rate went down to 30. Her blood pressure crashed. So now I'm like, what is happening? Like, what's going on? About 2 hours later, this nice young nurse, she comes and grabs me, and she takes me to the NICU, and I walk down this long hall, and into the NICU we go, and there's CJ. And he has more lines and tubes out, and he's on a ventilator, and they're informing me he has something called cardiomyopathy hyperplasia. That's when your heart is big, but it won't squeeze enough to keep fluid off of you. It's a very rare thing that happens. It just happens. Like this, at least is what they're telling me. Like we look through everything. What did we do wrong? Like what could we have done better? I reached into the small crib they had him in, and I put my finger next to him. And I said, CJ, I'm here. Dad's here and I love you. He grabbed my finger and he kicked. He recognized my voice. About an hour later, we were able to bring my wife in, and she's in a lot of, she's been under a lot of drugs because they cut her open. She was able to sit there with a little bit, and the doctor said, look, we don't know what's next. We're not sure what to tell you. We were at an amazing children's hospital in Orlando, Florida at the time. We had the best of the doctors. We had the best nurses. We had everything that we could possibly ask for there. I left, went home for a little bit. I had been sleeping in one of those pull-out sofas for 3 weeks. So I'm like, okay, well, he seems to be stable. I'm going to go sleep in my bed for a little bit. My wife goes back to her room. At 3 a.m., I get that call. Has anybody ever got a good call at 3 a.m.? I can't think of any good calls at 3 a.m. They're usually bad calls at 3 a.m., right? My wife says, I need you to get to the hospital. CJ went into cardiac arrest. I run out the door, get in my truck, and I drive. I'm 30 minutes from the hospital. I'm driving down I-4 through downtown Orlando, and half the interstate's closed because of construction, so I have to get off the interstate and backtrack through neighborhoods and go through this field. Like, I'm going everywhere I can to get there. I get to the hospital. My phone rings. My wife says, he's stable. They've got him stable. Don't wreck your car. I said, well, I'm already here. I run inside. I've got a badge on from the day before, so they don't want to let me in. I have to go through all this COVID protocol to get in. I get up to the floor. I walk in, and there's my wife. And my son had crashed again. They were giving him CPR when I walked in. They were able to revive him again by pulling fluid off of him and getting his heart rate back to where it was. My wife and I are talking, and we're just talking to him and telling him how much we love him. And about 10 minutes later, happens again. And again, they stabilize him, and he's okay. Less than 5 minutes later, it happens again, and I stopped the doctors. I had to make the decision. We weren't doing this again. I had to make a decision to stop. CJ passed away July 3rd, 6:25 a.m. I haven't gotten this emotional a long time about this. We've been going through something lately with it because he would have been going to kindergarten next week. So the next day we relived the nightmare of leaving a hospital where you come to deliver a baby and you go home without one. We get home in the next 8 months. The next 8 months I go down a really dark hole. I start trying to figure out what happened and what could I have done better and how am I, why is this happening to me? Have I not had enough challenges in my life? Like, what's happening? In the second week of March 2021, I was sitting on my back deck on a Sunday morning, and I decided that enough is enough. My wife had a talk with me the day before, and she said, I need you to come home. I need you to be here. She said, I want you to understand that CJ was meant for more than this earth. He was born at 30 weeks and weighed 7.5 pounds and was 23 inches long. He was a big baby. He was meant for more. God took him from us to help somebody else, and you need to deal with it. That's the day that I decided to start figuring out what my next step was going to be in life, because corporate America was not going to be that. I wasn't going to go to my office again and have somebody tell me the story about, oh, I understand what you went through because their dog died yesterday. I'm sorry, but that's not that's not the same. I don't care what you say about it. So I sat down, I started analyzing adversity. I felt like I'd been through enough of my life. I should be a thought leader on adversity. So I really went through everything that happened to me throughout my life and my childhood, and I said, how did I react to this? What did I do after this happened? See, when my mom was in and out of rehabs my whole childhood, I was raised by 7 different families until I was 13 and I could take care of myself. So the court gave me back to my mom. But I had to start really looking at it and trying to figure out, what is this message that's coming at me from about adversity? Because you keep piling it on me and it gets bigger and bigger and heavier, and I'm not sure what to do with it. So what I did next was really get deep about what adversity meant to me, and I started understanding that adversity was a requirement for me to get to the next level where I wanted to go. And we've all looked at it the wrong way. I want you to reimagine with me right now what you think adversity is. What if the thing that broke you is the thing that builds you? See, I have a tattoo on my arm that says CJ's watching. He's watching right now. He makes sure I do the things I'm supposed to do. I journal about him every day. But what if the thing that broke you is the thing that builds you? So I came up with this process of trying to understand adversity a little better. It's called the adversity paradigm. The first is the victim. It's happening to me. That's the response most give, right? Something's happening. I could have easily said, and I did, I lost my son, or my mother was a drug addict, or these things happened, they're happening to me. Then I realized that, hey, maybe I was a survivor. It's happening around me, but I was able to learn and grow and do something from it. The warrior, it's happening for me. I can think of multiple times in my life that things happened and they happened for me to learn and to grow. And the last one is the architect, it's happening through me. See, the CJ portion of losing him was happening through me. It was meant for me to get into a room and talk to you about the adversity you faced and get real with it. Stop running from that adversity and go towards it. See, people talk about, oh, how did you get over that? Well, I got a news flash for you. I've never gotten over any of it. I've gotten through it. Okay? I've gotten through the adversity. We all have different definitions of what that adversity is. You could have an adversity, something happened to you today. You might have got rear ended at a stoplight. That's adversity. How are you going to define it? What are you going to do next? What are you going to learn from it? What paradigm are you going to be in when it hits you? So I literally went through my childhood, all the things that happened, my businesses that had failed. I had a partner embezzle money from me in one of my companies. I went through all these things. And I kept trying to figure out how I could get from victim to architect every time. Stop being the victim and figure out how to get to architect. And that's when I decided to walk away from my corporate job, that nice big glass office I had, because I had a responsibility to do something different, which is be here today. Where are you in the paradigm? I can't answer that for you, but I bet you can yourself. When's the last time something happened in your business and you were at a bad spot in the paradigm? It's happening to me. Because I know I've been there in business, right? When a deal blows up, things happen. What about if it should be happening through you and it's something you should learn and be able to go to teach and help others and help maybe the next person you're supposed to help because you weren't supposed to have this deal in the first place? Where are you in the paradigm? So the next part was I came up with this strategy. And it's probably full for some of you. It's a little heavier than most. We all carry one. They're invisible. They're full of every adverse thing that's ever happened to you. And when something looks like it's going to happen, what do you do? You go back and you pull something bad to happen and you you relive it. So I thought to myself, What if those are lessons I'm supposed to carry with me? What if they're lessons? Because I know today this backpack is really full. Like I feel like I've got a rucksack on. I have a lot in there to draw from today. But what if I could go back and find something in there instead of tripping over it from the past and figure out a way to draw strength from it? What if you looked in that backpack and you said, I got through being raised by a drug addict. What you got for me today, it ain't nothing. I got through waking up on Christmas morning and all the presents being gone. My mom went and sold them to get high. I got through that. So that home inspection, I'm sorry, that doesn't mean shit to me. Right? It doesn't, right? The deal fell out. It happens. But I realize if we look at the hard things that we have been through, and remember, not over, we didn't come over anything, we went through it, I could use that as ammunition to be bigger, stronger, and better. Now, I'm blessed by God, I'm 6'5", so I don't have to deal with a lot of physical adversity in my life. Every now and then someone's bad enough to try to push me around, but not very often. But the mental side is not there. I've been through a lot of mental stuff. So I have to constantly draw from here. So I've got my backpack, I keep it full, and when things get really tough, I reach in it. That's CJ. That's CJ. So when the shit really hits the fan, am I allowed to say shit? Okay. I didn't look and see. I should have looked. I was on a podcast the other day and I said, am I allowed to say that? He said, it's called the LFG podcast. You can say whatever you want. But I reach in there and I find the strength that I need to get through that next thing, to get to that next day. What if adversity was the goal? What if today you woke up and you said, you know what? I know these 3 people I'm going to call. It's going to be some serious adversity when I call them. And I've been waiting too long. Why don't you just call them? And if it gets too bad, why don't you reach in your backpack and pull something out that's top anything they've got for you? Because I'm sure we've all got it. We've all got the stories, the loss, the struggles, the things we've been through that made you who you are to get you where you are today, right? What proof do you already carry? I carry a lot with me. Trust me, this backpack ain't big enough. This is just one we got for free. JJ and I got it for free. So it would just look like the right one to bring today because I knew JJ would probably have it too at some point. But what proof do you carry already that you're afraid to draw from? See, when I started being able to tell the story of being the son of a drug addict, man, you talk about a burden lifted off of me. And I went back to my friends I grew up with, and I was like, you guys probably didn't know this. You don't think we didn't know that? But what a burden it lifted off me to be honest and transparent with the things that I had been through that made me the person I am right now. If I would have never done that, I don't know where I'd be. I very easily could have stayed down that rabbit hole when we lost CJ. Or maybe not even made it to that point in my life. I literally had a conversation with my aunt one time and she said, Christopher, it's okay if you get in trouble and go to prison because your mom was really bad. I'm like, you're giving me permission to rob a bank? Thank you. Like what is happening right now? Why would you ever tell that to a kid? But once I got real with the stuff I'd been through and realized it was a strength and not a weakness, game on. Like, it's over. I literally wear a t-shirt all the time that says undefeated because I am. Now I may lose portions of a day, but I never lose a whole day anymore. And people at the airport will ask me, what? Well, you undefeated? I'm like, yeah, I'm undefeated. And they want to talk about it. I'm happy to share my story with them. But what adversity is holding you back, keeping you from taking that next step? See, what I know for sure is a lot of times in that adversity backpack, it'll weigh you down and an opportunity will present itself and you'll go, I can't do that. I'm not good enough to do that. I've got a whole backpack full of stuff that says I can't do that. That's wrong. You got a whole backpack full of stuff that says I can do it. I've got way more experience at it than everybody else. I failed countless times. I had 2 really bad marriages. And now I'm married to a supermodel. Like it just happens, right? You stack these losses up and learn and grow from them. Adversity is the key to my success. I can go back through things over and over again and understand that at the age of 40, I remember trying to figure out why I was in that space. I'm 52 today. And oh, by the way, happy story here. We have a 19-month-old son named Leo. Yeah. So he's my little homie. We hang out all the time. He's my guy, and he FaceTimed me yesterday and again this morning. And I came back from a trip from Vegas, to get sidetracked for a second here. I'm really bad at that. But I came back from a trip from Vegas a couple weeks ago, and I went to the Crocs store and bought him a couple new pair of Crocs. He likes to wear them. So I came in, I said, Leo, I got you a present. He comes running around the corner, and I unzip the bag, and I hand him the Crocs, and he looks at me like, at 19 months. No, he's like, he didn't say this, but the way I took it was, Dad, shoes are a requirement. Those aren't a gift. Like, you can literally go to jail, Dad, if you don't buy me shoes. So we went to the Angels game last night, and I've got him a ball and some other stuff. So on another story. Sorry to get sidetracked about that, but that's Leo's my guy. So what I realized next was we created something called the Adversity Accelerator, and the formula is perspective times response equals alignment, which is A squared. So the way I look at it is, if I intentionally get out of bed every day and I put myself in a diverse situation, I'm going to be better for any adversity you throw at me. So JJ and are these super weirdos. If you didn't know, we like to sit in super cold water in the morning, like really cold. Like you should never sit in that cold water. But what does that do? It makes me better prepared for my day. So I intentionally go to the gym and push myself super hard so I can bring it what we call intentional adversity. How different would it be if you attracted adversity so it prepared you for the next thing? Because what I know for sure is that if we do hard things, we're better at doing harder things, right? Right. How many athletes we have in the room? And if you, it's okay if you, yeah, only a few, huh? Okay, well, I played a lot of sports growing up. And the harder we worked, the better we played. So as a professional, how many professionals do we have in the room in the real estate business? Oh, I mean, come on, you better all raise your hands. None of you are on an NIL right now, right? Like there's no NIL, so you guys are legitimate pros. How often do you practice? How often do you put yourself in adverse situations and role play so you're better at this? If we put ourselves in adverse situations as a pro in the real estate business, how much easier will the next meeting be with the client? If I prepare myself for those tough conversations, and then I get in a room with them, and they're a pain in the ass, and I'm getting into a bad conversation, then I can reach in my adversity backpack and go, I had an aunt, her name was this, and she's way meaner than you, dude, and I got through it. Right? So the Adversity Accelerator was just so important for me to understand that I put myself in really tough situations over and over and over again to do better. So I'm training for this thing right now called a high rocks. Does anybody know what that is? Yeah, guy in the back knows what it is. I have no idea why I'm doing it. I've done 75 hard, and I did this thing called the Goggins Challenge where I ran 4 miles every 4 hours for 48 hours. And then I turned 50 that week, so I was like, man, why don't we do 2 more miles? Bad idea. But I got through it. And it made me realize who I was as a person as we were going through that process. So did 75 hard, right? And so will the High Rocks Challenge I'm going to do in Chicago in November. It's a very hard, difficult challenge. But I'm going to go through the adversity. I'm going to get in that spot. I'm going to put myself right there in front of everybody. We're going to film the whole thing. So if I don't make it, everybody sees it anyways. And what's that do for me? It makes me better to be in a room like this to help you get over the adversity that's holding you back today. I'm willing to sacrifice and put myself through those things to be a better version to help you. That's the Adversity Accelerator. All right, I don't even know what else slides we have here. So perspective is how we see what happened. Response is how you act through it. And alignment, are your choices aligned with who you're becoming? So the full picture would be to reframe your identity, own your story, and accelerate your growth. That's the accelerator, okay? Your adversity isn't the way, it is the way. And again, I don't know what slides are next. I'm really bad at paying attention to those things. All right, so your past is your proof. Your next level's now. Your past is your proof, not to hold you back, to not help you make the decisions you want to make, but proof that you can make those next decisions. Too many people will sit there and go, I can't do this because this happened in the past. And I remember I spoke to the U.S. Olympic team 2 weeks ago and had this conversation with one of their athletes, and we were talking about putting a ceiling on ourselves. An Olympic athlete had a ceiling on themselves. It's amazing when I talk to these high-level athletes, they're just like us. They're just better athletes. But they have the same problems. So in the past, if someone told you weren't good enough, you weren't smart enough, and you believe them, chances are it's holding you back. And I had a lot of that as a kid. I remember being told I was dumb and I would never do this, and you have one arm, you can't play sports, you can't do this, you can't do that. And sometimes I believed them. But I had a really good group of friends growing up, like better than Sandlot the movie. Like really better than Sandlot the movie. And they didn't treat me any different. They kicked my ass just like I had two arms, so I got out of line. But it caused me to understand that the ceilings everyone else were putting on me didn't matter. So my past doesn't matter holding my back. Matter of fact, my past gives me an advantage. It's like rocket fuel. I feed from it all the time to get where I want to go next. What are you going to do with yours? What are you going to do with yours? Are you going to leave here today and sit down and really define what the accelerator can do for you, or the paradigms and understanding that adversity was a requirement to get where you want to go? Or are you going to say that adversity, I'm not afraid, I don't want to deal with it anymore, I'm never going back? That's up to you, right? That's a decision you're going to have to make. Let's see. Oh, that's a good slide. Okay. All right. So again, I don't ever, JJ and I were just talking about this, like nothing is scripted when I speak, like I have some bullet points and I just go the way the room feels. So I don't really pay attention to the slides that much. My assistant puts them together and she does a really good job. All right. So I want to finish right now with, again, is where are you at in the paradigm? Where has adversity held you back? What stories are you telling yourself to stay where you are and you're afraid to take the next move because you're afraid of additional adversity, or you're afraid of going back and learning from the adversity you went through? Oh, you okay? All right. Does everybody believe that adversity is a strength now? Yeah? Everybody reimagine what adversity looks like? Yep. My challenge today as we leave is to go after that adversity. Go chase it. Go to it. Right? Run at it. And when you get there and you slow down and it doesn't feel like you're going to get through, grab your adversity backpack and pull out something you've gotten through before and use that strength. Don't get in your backpack and start looking at the things that didn't work and start thinking about all the things that are going to be bad again. Because let me tell you something. Yeah, wrong backpack's right. That's somebody else's backpack. Because you'll end up in the same spot you are right now. Again, I very easily could have been sitting in my glass office, had a beautiful office, had unlimited vacation time. I kind of did whatever I wanted to do. But after losing my son, I realized that I was on this planet for more than that. So what are you going to do with your adversity? Thank you so much. I'm Chris Welton. Just got off stage, and I really feel like everything hit. It's interesting when you look at the way I've been working on my speaking for the last few years, actually focusing on the pauses and keeping people involved, I really feel like this was one of the best speaking opportunities or best presentations we've done so far. We still got a lot to go before we get on those big stages, but I'm really happy with the way it came out. I mean, it's not just me saying that. Of course, I felt that way, but the number of people that came up afterwards and asked to have a copy of the signed book and told me the same stuff, like, Ben, you did a great job speaking. Your story was powerful, was impactful. I'm going to do some takeaways from the adversity backpack and the adversity paradigm. When people make those statements, it means they really listened, right? And they take something actionable away from you being on stage. And that's the reason why you get up there in the first place, is to create impact. And today I believe we did it.